Conference League is a competition no one ever dreamed about playing in.
Is the truth.
It hasn't even been 10 years since the tournament was created, but Amos Opeyemi was riled up to play some European football. Sadly, changes are always made at football clubs, as some want new challenges or bigger ambitions, or more money. However, when Marco Korneszki was sold to Chelsea for a mere £8 million, someone should have slapped the director of football in the face. A few other members went, but none as big as Sofiane Diop to Newcastle. A tough loss, as he helped a bunch of the youngsters out, including Amos. The Nigerian would have to step up to replace his contributions, but the director of football did not have a bad replacement for him. On loan, they got Bulgarian Dominik Yankov, who with his stern face was ready to help Nice. A couple keepers came in, as well as Nsaki and Andrew Guevara to provide depth with more matches this season. So where did all that money go? In order to qualify for the Conference League, Nice had to get through 2 qualifying rounds. The first round versus Honved was super easy, as Mota Bang scored 5. How are you scoring half of what you did in Ligue 1 in one match?
I was a better player than you, come on.
The second leg was a fun affair, with Amos resting with the starters, and they did so again in the final qualifying round against Voždovac. They weren't even a top 3 side in Serbia, but turned into prime Brazil before the interval. The coach basically treated this as a friendly, and when you don't take things seriously in Serbia, like leaving Neskovic wide open late,
you're just a clown.
Nice needed an all-time performance at home, and instead got a 6-minute injury to new signing Jibril Sow. However, Mota Bang kept smiling. Amos was going to say something, but decided to let things be, and good thing he did, as minutes after Musawi was subbed in, Mota Bang found the opener. Less than 10 minutes later, and there was nobody catching up to the South African, as he was pulled down for a pen, with Tofik slotting it in. The turnaround was complete in just 30 minutes, with Watiao finding Mota Bang, who lobbed the keeper. The kid was on fire to start the campaign, single-handedly qualifying the team into Europe, and scoring 2 in 4 Ligue 1 starts. However, Amos was doing his thing in Ligue 1, getting 1 goal and an assist versus Monaco with a 9.4 match rating. But the focus today is the Conference League, so who cares about that? By this point, UEFA's newest competition is a league phase rather than a group stage, which kinda seems odd since you still only play 6 games. Nevertheless, these were among the favorites, as any club in the top 5 leagues would be. The other ones to watch out for are Osasuna, who are led by the local maestro Aymar, along with 19-year-old Arcaiz Orkeo and captain John Moncayola. From Germany, it was Hoffenheim, who actually won this competition 2 years ago and are ever so familiar with it. They have an absolute wall in defense, led by captain Omar Rakik, Jordan Bayer, and the lighthearted Stefan Poggenberg, who at his age may be the best center back in this competition. Then there's Italy, who are represented by Napoli, or Parthenope. Still filled with several players from the start of Amos's journey, they're probably the favorites with the additions of Lorenzo Luca, Brahim Diaz, Nicolo Rovella, Francisco Trincao, and so many others. There are others from throughout Europe who could pull off an upset or two, so you can't take the foot off the pedal in any of the fixtures, which may have happened versus Hearts. Mikey Johnson's equalizer was not a good look for Nice, as they had a fairly easy schedule, but it didn't go that way. Next up were Ludo Goretz, who were stubborn defensively, but Amos' surprisingly dangerous header caught their keeper off guard. A first win, but in a visit to Portimonense, where no one seemed to care about watching, it was the home side's Iago Cariello who opened the scoring just 5 minutes in. As fans tried to go to the stadium to buy tickets after hearing about this, they were rejected at the door. Despite the setback, Amos was playing well, but it would be his wingerless winger partner Yankov who'd find Mota Bang for the equalizer. People were wondering where Mr. Conference League was at, but he actually had a stinker outside of the goal. The same can be said for the defenders marking Iago, who exposed their flaws in the final seconds to steal a victory. With Livingston in late November just before PSG, Amos and several others were rested. The Scottish encounter was better than Hearts, with Mota Bang continuing to add to his tally with a brace. 2 fixtures remained, and Nice were 1 point off the top 8, which would put them straight into the round of 16. They played AIK of Sweden and Poland's Jagiellonia. Their clubs, Nice should be defeating, especially the Swedish side, who hadn't won a game up to this point. It was looking even better when Amos found Mota Bang for a tap-in only 3 minutes in. 4 free kick taking, I see. This was a wild first half that continued with Amos laying it off for a Watiao smash hit. That didn't last long, as Nsaki decided to play games and allow Farage to steal the ball, taking the lead back. But don't you fear, Mr. Conference League decided to show up and tied back up prior to the interval. The first 45 filled with everything. The second half was much different, but the only thing that would replicate is Nice's abysmal defending, which saw Ike taking the lead once again, and this time, they kept it. In the final fixture versus YakWon, Amos balled out, but just like LeBron with an injured Cavalier squad versus the Warriors, the man got no help. Meanwhile, the defenders' Soriatis allowed Bernichuk to score twice on them, resulting in a 2-0 loss. He's barely qualified for the playoff round, finishing in 23rd. They played Rapid Vienna in February in order to make the round of 16. So about this being an easy schedule, all of them finished above Nice.
Abysmal.
There were a lot of transfers in January, but the only notable ones were Zerbin leaving for Al Ain, Billy Thomas arriving from Liverpool on loan, and a competent left back in Reini Breinberg. The Ligue 1 season was going alright. Nice were currently 6th, but really struggled with their output. Amos was doing fine, but when the top scorer Mota Bang is getting half the goals he's getting in European competitions, then that's a recipe for an underwhelming campaign. Amos and co needed to defeat Rapid Vienna over 2 legs, and with the home tie first, they needed to be sharp. Of course he got that one. That mistake rattled Vienna, as Amos and Yankov each scored before the half. Nothing else occurred, and with a less than memorable second leg, Nice advanced to the round of 16, where they'd face Trabzonspor. The same needed to happen with them, dominate the first leg at home, and make things boring in the second. The Turkish side were more of a challenge though, as despite Christensen's stunning free kick, Trabzonspor wouldn't roll over. Just after half an hour, Tofik misjudged the ball, leading to Hassan Demir's equalizer. After a passionate talk from coach Nistrup, Amos was attracting all the attention, and the new left back Breinberg was found living every fullback's dream, and actually scoring when they went forward. The Turkish defense then couldn't handle Mota Bang's pace. Unfortunately, Trabzonspor had a free kick specialist of their own, with Bardi banging one 69 minutes in. A small advantage. However, it wasn't over, as Buisson's attempt to find Mota Bang didn't quite work out as intended. The 2-goal margin gave the team enough confidence to close out the second leg with a 0-0 draw, moving towards a quarterfinal encounter with Grasshoppers, the Swiss football club and not the insect. On paper, not the strongest Swiss side, as they've only finished in the top 3 once during Amos' career, although the first leg was away, and they kept another clean sheet, but couldn't score themselves. The second leg brought more of the same. The Hoppers defended well, preventing any clear chances until the 79th minute, as Amos was on the ball for a free kick. He made a decent delivery to the back post, but Moussaoui was marked by 2 men. Fortunately, one of them pushed the Algerian and were awarded a penalty. Yankov barely slotted it in, but when you thought the Grasshopper had nothing in the tank, Radsevich's free kick hits the post and goes to the wide open Momo. So extra time arrived, and with the reality of penalties approaching, Son decided to do some work, and despite being surrounded by 2 defenders, he put in a brilliant pass into Euro 6 path, and the Czech got tripped up, meaning another penalty. With all the pressure, Yankov smacked it in the middle. His 2 pens were the difference maker, with Nice squeaking through to the semi-finals. The 4 teams mentioned earlier, those were your semi-finalists. Osasuna played Napoli, while Nice were up against Hoffenheim. The lead up towards it wasn't great, as Amos was rested with some fitness issues, while Nice got smacked by both Rennes and PSG. Hoffenheim weren't doing great either, losing 8 straight Bundesliga matches in a row and barely getting by Hearts with an extra time pen themselves. The opening leg was in Germany, and imagine this, your first European semi-final in club history, you have possession, but you give it away in your opponent's counter and score. How do you respond? By having your best chances being taken by your center mid and doing jack sh. Amos didn't have a bad game, but Hoffenheim's defense was tough to break through, which made this even more puzzling. Regardless, the second leg was at home, and this game wasn't going to be about Amos, but instead, Mota Bang. He may not have been born with the technical gifts that Amos possessed, but he had the desire to go again and again. Maestroni gets caught napping in the 5th minute, and Mota Bang wins it, runs down, and equalizes the aggregate score. Only 16 minutes later, it's Yankov who finds the space for the South African to run into, and he passes by the keeper for a second. Now Hoffenheim weren't going to roll over, as Vet Yen delivered an insane low cross to Sanders, equalizing the aggregate. It wasn't all perfect for Mota Bang either, as he had a chance that was just off. Amos also had a big chance, but the team headed to extra time. Both sides were tired, And with the clock ticking to the 120-minute mark, Hoffenheim's keeper casually got the ball, but decided to stray further away from the box. His clearance is then well off, as Musawi intercepts and sees space for Mote Bang. Perfect pass, and the South African runs and caps off a legendary performance, seeing Nice reach the Conference League final. Before this match, Hoffenheim only conceded 2 all tournament, so it was off to Valencia. But despite Nice claiming 6th in the league, Mote Bang was injured in the last fixture. A twisted ankle, which would see him miss the final versus Napoli. To add more issues, the backup striker Chalov, along with several others, weren't registered. That forced Yankov at striker, with Amos now partnering with Buisson. They had Watiao and Musawi behind them, and over the last year, they grew closer and have developed into great players. Musawi had 10 assists in the Conference League, Buisson started to blossom, Watiao was inching closer to a world-class level, and Amos made huge strides in his playmaking abilities, as was showcased with his assist against Bordeaux. Could the starting 11 bring a trophy to Nice for the first time in 32 years? Here we go. I will be your commentator today. Napoli versus Nice to win a European trophy. Trincao now. Trincao on the ball. Great ball to Brahim Diaz, but it is stopped by Keller. Here we go. Nice on the attack now. Whips in. Buisson heads it just wide. Absolutely great playmakers on Napoli. Oh, risky pass, but they get away with it. Buisson now sends Yankov. Yankov, he's got an opportunity. Yankov has taken the lead against Nice. Incredible scenes. Oh my gosh, we don't have the replays on for goals. Crap. Breiberg now. Watu. Yankov. In behind to Amos. Amos makes it 2-0 for Nice. What a start. 25 minutes in. No out-and-out strikers for Nice. It doesn't matter. Their playmakers are getting the job done. Amos on the ball. Amos. Some of the best dribbling we've seen in the world. Probably the best dribbling in this competition. Breinberg, though. He finds Buisson. Yankov. Oh my gosh, Yankov cleans up the garbage and makes it 3-0 for Nice. They're missing their star striker, the top scorer in the Europa League. It's looking like they haven't needed him. Amos chasing Di Lorenzo though. Can he prevent a cross? He does. Great defending by Amos. But he can't deal with it there. And Di Lorenzo finds Trincao to get one back for Napoli. It is not over. Nice are on the counter. Yankov on the ball. Yankov, what can he do? He finds Breinberg. What you? That's a half at the Nuevo Mestalla. Or the lack of subs is the Danish manager of Nice. A little nervous. Oh no. Insoki with a very clumsy challenge. And it's going to be a penalty. Can Napoli get one back and make these last 10 minutes interesting? Raspadori makes it 3-2. We got a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. Napoli are 1 goal away from sending this into extra time. Estupinian on it. Zielinski gets a pot shot there, but it's saved by Keller. Arroyo to Rovella. Is he gonna shoot? They're giving him time to shoot, but nope, nothing there. Amos does not win the header, but he gets it back from Yankov. He finds Buisson. Buisson to So to Amos. Ooh, he does not seal the deal. Napoli's still alive. Free kick with 30 to go. Zielinski out on the way by Amos. Buongiorno now on the ball. He loses it. And now it's Nice on the counter, but they just kick it away. It's over. Nice have won the Europa Conference League. What a sight. What a run. Nice are your winners of this season's Europa Conference League. And Amos wins his first trophy.